Hello, and welcome back to the Little Big Sister podcast. I'm your host, Eva Joelle. And on this podcast, we give life advice, we read Reddit stories, and we overall just have one big, open, happy conversation. Today, we are reading Reddit stories, and these Reddit stories come from the Reddit subreddit called Today I Fucked Up. In which people come on the internet and they tell you all the ways that they fucked up. And honestly, what I've noticed while skimming through some of the posts on like this Reddit thread, a lot of the people are just searching for like reassurance that they aren't like a shitty person when like indeed they are a shitty person, and or they're like a good person that made a mistake and they are like reconciling with their mistake. And so these are always super fun to read because you always get a mix of people that some people are like really self-aware of themselves and their mistakes and their actions. In like a retrospective case. And then there are other people who are just like delusional, like, I didn't mess up. I didn't do anything wrong. You should be happy that I didn't dump you when I found out you had cancer. Like, that's the type of shit that we get. You either get one side of the spectrum or the other. On Today I Fucked Up. But today's stories seem good from what I've skimmed to them. But first and foremost, if you are new here to the podcast, please give it a like, a comment, and a follow wherever you are listening to it. If you are on YouTube, there have been a few influx of people on the YouTube channel. Hello, welcome to the new YouTubers. And then if you are on YouTube and you'd like to listen to this podcast while you drive, maybe you just want to, listen to it on your daily commute, it is available wherever you find podcasts. So on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I know those two are linked in the bio. If you want to go follow, give the video a like, a thumbs up, a comment, vote in the poll on Spotify, that would be really, really, really highly appreciated. But let's get on with today's stories. Okay, so today's first story is titled, Today I Fucked Up Throwing a Condom Out the Window. Yes. I don't know how the entire first sentence sounds like a fuck up. um this was from Today I Fucked Up from 2 years ago. And it reads, English isn't my first language, so I apologize in advance for any mistakes. Today, I went to my boyfriend's house, and since his parents weren't there, we had sex. After the act, he asked me to pick up the used condom going out, so that while we were going out, we could toss it in the trash right outside of his flat. So I take the condom and put it in my pocket to throw away later. We catch up with some friends, and long story short, I forgot about the condom in my pocket, just to find it right where I left it once I got home. But I couldn't just throw it in the trash because my parents would find it. So I came up with the idea to just throw it out the bathroom window. The thing is that the bathroom window is a folding window. Even if the space between the window and the wall is small, I had a very little range of movement, just enough to fit my fingers. I decided to commit to my plan and just throw the condom out. In the end, it fell and stuck to the windowsill outside. I live on the fifth floor, and there isn't a way to fully open the window. What do I do? This is so unserious. This is so unserious. Okay. We don't know how old they are, but they seem to be like super duper young. And although this is just like just a funny, silly story to start the podcast off with, um, I thoroughly enjoy it because literally everybody in the comments are being so supportive and helpful. Someone responded with, "Oh no, a wire clothes hanger. Maybe you could bend it into shape and it'll fit through and you can hook it." OP did give us the resolution that they ended up doing. They ended up saying that at the end they used a stick to just push it further outside. Everything ended well, but I guess I will never forget this experience. This is such a coming of age, like, I'm 16, I shouldn't be having sex. I didn't have this experience because I waited pretty a long time. Um, I was like not a sexual being at 16 years old. So I can't really relate to this. The only thing that's close to this that I can relate to is when I was like way older, honestly. I think I was like 18 or 19 at the time, but I snuck out of my parents' house through my bedroom window. um, Little did we know that this bedroom window was literally like that my house was essentially on something, like it was propped up a little bit. It was on like a foundation. And so although the window doesn't look like it was super high, the window was a solid 6 feet off the ground. In which for me and my ass, who is literally 5'5", that was a jump. Okay. But getting myself in and out that window was so funny because my dad, I remember when we got me back through the window to get into my apartment, not into my apartment, into my house. Um, they went to put the like screen back on the window, my friends at the time. And something happened where they didn't put the screen back on perfectly. And the screen was on the ground. Like it ended up on the ground. And my dad woke up, I guess maybe to like water the grass or whatever, but he found the screen on the floor and he took the screen and he put it at my bedroom door. And so I knew I was caught. I didn't get in trouble. I was like an adult, but it was just like it was one of those like rom-com moments of like, oh shit, like he knows. I think I just avoided my dad for like a day or two so that he didn't bring it up. But it was one of those moments where I was like, oh shit, I'm caught and there's no way I'm getting out of this. It seems like as if OP got out of this and OP was smarter than me and my friends at 16. You were smarter than me and my friends at what, 21, 22? But either way, it was ridiculous. I grew up in a very strict house where I had a curfew at freaking 21 years old. It was insane. I moved out very soon after. Um, the next story that we have is titled I fucked up. Rent is too goddamn high. And that is it. That's all we got here. Um, Today I fucked up because rent is too goddamn high. They also say, this is my first time posting, so forgive me for any mistakes. Since a little bit before the new year, I have been talking to this girl that I met on Hinge. She's amazing. I really like her. Anyways, I've been getting closer with her and we've been hanging out a lot. A few days ago, she drove me home for work, so I didn't have to take the bus. We sat and talked in my driveway until 2 a.m. As soon as I walked to the door, I immediately get my ass chewed out by my uncle. He was yelling about how we don't have any rules in this house, but you just broke all of them, except and how if I had just told him where I was going and who I'd be with, there wouldn't be an issue. But the thing is that I had my location on the whole time, and I asked his wife if it was okay for my friend to pick me up. She said yes, as long as I turned on my location and shared it. So obviously, I'm I'm following the rules to a T as far as I'm aware. I told them that we would probably sit in her car for a while and just talk. He didn't text me once in the 3 hours to ask where I was or anything like that. But then he called me yelling and asking where I am, which I told him I was in the driveway. As soon as I walked in the door, he was sitting there like you see in the movies and just went off. Basically, he said that if it were to ever happen again, I'd have to find somewhere else to live. I understand that he was concerned, but also why wouldn't he have just called or texted before he was so worried just to check in and ask how things were going? Did I fuck up? If so, how do I fix it? Because the rent in this city is way too damn high, especially for someone who makes minimum wage. Okay, look. Um, I've had this experience, okay? And the only, like, putting it into words is such a weird space. And honestly, it's really hard. Um, but I find that there are adults that sometimes are so bored and so miserable in their own lives to where they need to drum up any form of drama, entertainment, problem. They feed off of finding a problem in every situation. Um, Especially when there is a younger person like that is very gung ho and like excited about the world and excited about growing up. There are adults that are very there's a word that I'm looking for and I can't even like it's just not coming to my mind that holds some form of like grudge to the fact that there's a young person out there living their lives having fun and they're like low-key kind of jealous of it. And that is what this is giving for me in this situation. Where it's like one, why the fuck, if you asked his wife, right, if you could do this, Why the fuck, while he was panicking, did she not speak up and say something? And that to me tells me like the dynamic with inside of this house. There's a weird dynamic in this house that you're not saying, that like kind of, I feel like we can make out from this post, where it's like nobody really wants to talk to the uncle or like have any form of a reasonable conversation with him because he is unreasonable and that he's always going to find a problem. I personally don't think I'm marrying a man like that. Like that shit would get annoying real quick, real fucking fast. And it's honestly miserable to live your entire life trying to find a problem with every single like life situation, and being jealous of other people's happiness is just not a way that like you want to live. Um, and the fact that like, okay, if he was just so freaking worried, like you said, why didn't he text you? Why did he call you? What, like there, you can't convince me that if he was this worried to where he started like yelling and throwing a fit, this wasn't like a physical worry that he had prior. You know, like if you were this worried to where you blow up on somebody as soon as they walk in the house, you are not worried in silence for the hour prior to that. You are asking people, other people in the house, other people that live with us, like, hey, have you talked to so and so? Let's give you the name Mike. um let's give you, yeah, let's say OP's name is Mike. Like, have you seen Mike? Like, you would call your wife and be like, have you heard from Mike? Did you talk to Mike? Do you know where he's at? And then she would be able to ease your worry. So it's like, where's the lack of communication on the uncle's part? Clearly it gives that nobody wants to talk to the uncle, and that the uncle is just doing this for like attention, right? And that's a thing too, where it's like these adults that have like a, oh, I wish I knew the word that I'm trying to get here. They have resentment. They have like this resentment against like younger people, and they are very just like pessimistic about life and the world, and everything is negative and everything is bad. Those adults, those people, um, they like attention, right? And so it's like he waited until like y'all were at the door because he wanted to be seen. Like there's nothing that I hate fucking more than a person who just is like wants to be seen, and they will do anything in their power to be seen by somebody and to like have the attention on them. And that's essentially what your uncle was doing. You know? Like he waited for y'all to get to the door to cause this big of a fucking problem and to just like embarrass you. Like, where's the decorum of like respecting other people and caring about like your niece, your nephew, your kids, to like not embarrass them in front of people? Like I hate that. And I just know I will never be this parent where I do not believe in embarrassing my child in the names of punishment or in the names of like learning a lesson. No. Like you, like there's very small, a very small situation in which maybe like I would deem that being okay. Like let's say if my kid was like bullying somebody for something, oh, bad bitch, you're about to learn fucking today. You're about to be embarrassed because you don't bully people in this household. But like a situation like this doesn't, like this does not call for the uncle to be reacting the way that he is, because it's literally just a lack of communication. Uncle wants to be seen so bad, wants to be heard so bad, had some form of a weird fucking resentment, and just has some weird like wants to control. And that's like one of the things that too that I feel like even like in my life that I've experienced, where it's like having like parental figures that want control for the entirety of your life, even as you become an adult. And I think these kids are young. So, I mean, you're not in that space. But I do think that later on, you will be in this space where when you're in your 20s, 21s, they're giving you fucking curfews and like you can't actually learn to be an adult. But any adult and that holds like a living space over your head while you are quite literally a child, like 16, 17, 18, you're early in college, those people shouldn't be fucking parents, okay? And that's just my fucking opinion, okay? I will never be, if I have children, okay? I don't know if I want kids at this point. To me, that's a whole nother conversation about like whether or not having kids is like right for me. I care more about who I have kids with than fulfilling the prophecy of having kids because I'm a woman. I've already said that before in this podcast. Anyways, um, if I have kids, like as a parent, you do have to grow to understand that your kids are going to become their own person. And you are not going to be able to protect them from every mistake they make. Your job, your goal as a parent is to raise them right to be a parent. And being a parent means, giving somebody giving somebody a roof over their head and buying them food, doing things that a parent should do. Like I never understood parents who are um that want a reward for putting a roof over their child's head. Like that literally is your job, my guy. It is your job to literally be my parent. And being my parent means making sure that I am safe, healthy, and happy. Okay? And even in this situation, I can't even contemplate like if this if OP is younger, and they are under the age of, 18, 21. um your job is to be a parent, and I can understand the where are you, but there still needs to be a communication. There's still a weird aspect to this with uncle that I don't think anybody is talking to. But if OP is old enough and OP is paying whatever agreed subset of rent is to be renting this room. Uncle has no say. That's a thing. That's why it's kind of hard in this situation. I think maybe OP may be older than 18 because he said he met a girl on Hinge. So if OP, if you are paying like rent in this house to have this room, like he doesn't get to tell you when you're coming in and out. Okay? The only way that I can even justify maybe the uncle's perspective is if you're just living free willy nilly. But still, even in that situation, at 20 to 21 years old, I mean, you're over the age of 18 because you're on Hinge. So let's deduct that this person isn't underage. Um, that at some point there is some form of letting go of the reins and lack of control as a parent that you should be able to give, because it's like your kids and people just in general are never going to learn life lessons unless you give them the space to learn it and to mess up. Unfortunately, a lot of life lessons that you get the most life experience and you learn the most from have the most shitty outcome, and you experience some of the craziest things. And but that's the whole point of life. You live and you learn. You live and you learn is a saying for a reason, because it's true. um and so, just at the end of the day, do I think OP fucked up in this situation? No, not really, because you followed the rules to the best of your experience, to the best of your ability. And you literally told his wife. I don't understand why him and his wife aren't talking and aren't on the same page. I get sometimes things get lost in communication, get lost in the sauce of the busy of the day. But I just do not believe that the if the uncle was that worried, he was that worried in silence. Like you reach out, you call someone, you ask where they are. We have phones for a freaking reason. Your wife has location. Do you like everybody in this situation, there's just no reason for the upset to be where it is, in my opinion. Okay. um this was posted 2 years ago, and it only has one response, and so I'm going to read you the one response, and we have no updates from this at all. But the one response that was a year after this person posted says, "Unfortunately, OP, all you can really do is try your best to respect his rules since it's not your house. I know it sucks and you feel like you did everything you were supposed to do. I can relate to this with my parents and their rules when I was past college, but before I could get my first place. I'm not sure how old you are. I think talking to them when everything calms down about the actual rules and boundaries of the home would be beneficial regardless. But remember that your home with your uncle isn't supposed to be a forever home. If they make you feel uncomfortable where you live, let that motivate you to figure something else out. They have made it very clear that the way you operate on default will not work for them forever. They don't expect you to be there forever, and they will boot you out whenever you step out of line to them. At this moment, if you're trying to protect your situation, apologize and have that conversation. Always offer info before they ask you for it. I'll be at work from this time to this time. My friend X is giving me a ride home around this time. I think I will be there at this time. Me and friend are going to sit at the car for a bit, but I just made it home. Let me know if you need me for anything. I'm I'm thinking of coming inside at this time, except maybe discuss with your new girlfriend if you can stay with her from time to time if things continue going well, just to create some distance between you and your family. So sorry, my voice was like cracking in a completely different sense. Like, I've been taking singing lessons lately, and my voice has just been cracking, and that was me holding in the crack at the end of that. But I think the response to this is a good plan to go for. And I really want to point out the big space of them saying that use this as motivation to like better your life, but in this moment, like figure out a way to like coexist within the space. And I completely agree. And I completely agree from my own like personal situation. Like and a video, a podcast that I want to make eventually on the channel would be like a everything you need to know to move out of your parents' home. Give the video a like if you want to hear that podcast, because when I tell you, I moved out at, I want to say 20, maybe I think I was 20. All by myself, no college degree, in California too, one of the most expensive places to live in the United States. And I did it all by myself, and I have lived alone for since then for almost 10 years now. And successfully did it. I have so many tips and tricks. I've worked in property management. I eventually want to sit down, compile all of my like tips and tricks, and then just like upload an advice podcast that isn't like a Reddit story for everyone. But if you want to see that, please, by all means, comment down below, thumbs up, let me know that you want to see it because I'll record it. Okay. If there's people in the comments that are like, I want to see that, I need the advice, like, let me know. I will put it out there. But from my own experience, I literally had to do what this commenter is saying. Like, you have to find the peace, be in the middle space, and just understand that this uncomfortability, this like lack of control within your own life is temporary, and that like you use it as a motivator to get better. Because even when I was like living with my dad and he was being super fucking controlling about every little thing, it was out of a necessity to feel like he had control in his life. um, and for me, it was like, I'm 20, like or I'm 21, like I should be able to stay out past like 10 p.m. at this age. Like I'm literally in college. I have a job. I have a license. Like I should be able to be a responsible adult. I've never given you any indication to think that I wouldn't be a responsible adult. Like when I tell you, look y'all, when I tell you I was like the easiest kid to have. Like when people say like, "Oh, you're going to have a kid like you. I hope you have a kid like you one day." I pray to the Lord that I have a kid like me, okay? Because I was like an honor roll band nerd, theater kid, student. Like I didn't get in trouble, never got suspended, never did anything, okay? Never got a ticket. Still to this day, I've only ever gotten one ticket in my 10 years of driving. And it 100% was my fault, and I talked my way out of it, okay? It got dismissed, okay? Because there's one thing about me is I can be a personal person, okay? And I can get a cop to like me, okay? And that's another tip, life. Random tangent, okay? Random tangent. If you get pulled over. Actually, side note. I have ADHD, so if you're doing this podcast, sorry. You're gonna have to just follow along, big dog. If you get pulled over, this is just a little big sister advice piece, okay? It would be wrong of me to not give you life advice on a podcast literally called the Little Big Sister Podcast. If you get pulled over, there are two ways to get out of it. You have to be impeccable at reading the room. And this genuinely only works for women, okay? I've gotten out of every ticket this way. If you get pulled over, one, if you look good, okay? You got lashes on, your lips are done, your face is on, you got jewelry on, your car is clean, you look cute, your outfits are cute. If that cop is young enough to flirt with, you are going to flirt with that man. When I tell you, like cops, when they pull you over, they expect people to kind of be dicks. So when they come to your window, you're like, "Oh, hi, officer. Like, how are you doing?" Like, da da da, and like you speak to them like normal human beings of like, "Hey, like, like I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not quite sure, pulled me over. Like, you still go through like the motions. I'm a black woman, so I still go through the motions of being like, can I grab my wallet? Can I get this? Like, before I move my hands. Hands at 10 and 2 still got to be safe in the space because you don't know who you're dealing with in this situation. Um, but when I tell you, if I can flirt my way through it, and like you can usually see the release of like, oh, this cop is about to be cool. He takes like a deep breath and like he relaxes his shoulders and he's like, what are you doing? Or what were you doing? And you're just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like you can play it so dumb, okay? And then if you want, you can go straight out the gate. Okay. I have full fledged looked at an officer and been like, oh, okay, it's a cute officer today. Hello, how are you? And they love to be buttered up. If you can butter up a police officer's ego, baby, you getting out of that ticket. Okay? I'm fine. Okay, look. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm not ugly. I am not ugly. And that is one thing that, you know what? I'm not narcissistic in the way that I think like, oh, everybody's in love with me. But a man is an easy thing to confuse, okay? They're easy to distract, okay? They love being told that they're attractive or that they're handsome by a pretty girl. They don't care what you look like as long as you are pretty, conventionally pretty, they're gonna be like, okay, ma'am, well, you better stop speeding. And I'd be like, okay, thank you, officer. Like, I'm flirting my way out of tickets so often. It is, I should be able to put it on my resume how often I have flirted with a young cop and got out of a fucking ticket. Okay? And then the other way to do it is if that cop is old enough to be your dad. Okay? If he's old enough to be your dad, and this one works whether you look cute or not, okay? Hey, I flirted with older men too. I can get out of it, okay? Look, because I'm 28 too, so like to them, the ones that aren't weird and like, pedophiles will be like, oh, she's 28, she's old enough. She may actually want Big Daddy. And it's like, look, sir, actually for you, I do date guys that are in their 30s. I do love a good 35-year-old. Don't get me wrong. Like 35-year-old from the East Coast, baby. I love a 35-year-old from the East Coast. Okay. Look, my last few boyfriends have been exactly that. But anyways, if this man is old enough to be your dad, you play the I'm just a teenage girl card. Okay, especially in your 20s and your 30s, you can play the oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't even know I was doing this wrong. I did this in Hayward, California. Okay, in the Bay Area. If you're from Hayward, you know Hayward. If you're from the Bay, you know Hayward. And Hayward, when I first moved there, I was so confused by the fucking roads. Okay. It was like my maybe seventh day, sixth day living in Hayward at that time. So I was still like buying stuff for my apartment. And I remember I was like, oh, I need to go to Target. But like, I don't really, like, I have an idea of where this Target is, but like, I don't know. I don't know how to get there, you know? And so I was kind of just like driving because I was like, I'll find something that like will like just my memory on how to get there. So I didn't even have like maps or anything up. Long story short, I ended up on the wrong side of the road. Driving on the wrong side of the road, didn't even know I was on the wrong side of the road. I got pulled over by a cop, okay? I was in college still. I think I was in my like last year of college. I went to CSU East Bay in Hayward, which is why I was living in Hayward. It just made sense. But I ended up getting pulled over by this cop, and I just like broke down. When I said theatrics, I'm a theater girly at my core, baby. I became a theater girl at my core. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I have no idea. Like, I'm just trying to get to Target. Like, I just moved here like a few days ago. And he's like, oh, where are you from? I lied. I said I was from Walnut Creek. I lived in Walnut Creek prior to that, but I'm not from Walnut Creek. I'm from the hood. Unfortunately. Actually, I wouldn't even say I'm really from the hood. I'm from the suburbs. It's gotten bad recently. It was the suburbs when I grew up there. Anyways, I was like, well, like I'm from Walnut Creek. Like I played it very like sweet little girl college, and like we went over the whole like why'd you move to Hayward? I was like, well, I'm in college at CSU East Bay and all this stuff. And I was like, I even offered. I was like, I can show you my lease. I can prove to you that I literally just moved in a few days ago, so I'm really confused and I don't know how to get to just Target. I just need to get cleaning stuff. Like I rambled and I played sweet innocent little college girl. truly. I think at that point I was like almost 25 or I was 25. I don't know. I was close to 25 at that point. I was not a little girl. And this man, he was just like, you know what? It's okay. I understand. Hayward is kind of confusing to get around. He led me to Target. This man said, follow me. I said, okay. Am I following him to the police station? Maybe. Who cares? But he turned his lights on and I got a police escort to Target on a random Thursday. Like, I don't know, this is how you protect and serve the community, okay? But that man gave me a police escort with the lights on to Target and then said, have a good rest of your day, honey. And I said, you know what? Thank you, sir. I don't know that police officer's name, but let me tell you, in the Bay Area, I've had nothing but phenomenal experiences with Hayward PD. So they're the only police station that I will ever give any form of credit to and say, shout out Hayward PD, because I called them a few times when I was in Hayward, okay? And they was not fucking around. They was not on no bullshit. Like Hayward PD was like, fuck around and find out, dog. Like they were on their P's and Q's. And as a black woman, that's like a really high honor. So if you live in Hayward, California, just know Hayward PD, they cool as fuck. Um, but yeah, no, I got my way the fuck out of that speeding ticket, and that's two ways you can get out of a speeding ticket as a woman. Men, I ain't got nothing for you. Okay, I have nothing for you. Honestly, to be completely honest, y'all, I don't even know how we got this far. I have lost track of what we were even talking about, so we're gonna go back to the Reddit story. But yeah, uh, in this situation, just keep the peace. Oh, use it as a motivator to do better, to get a better job where you can afford to live by yourself, figure out some form of a roommate situation because you seem like you're young, you're in your early 20s at this point probably because you're still on Hinge. And like there's more to life that's coming up that you're going to experience. No rush, but it's like pick and choose what works for you in this moment. I would just say maybe don't burn the bridge if it does end up turning out that, like, in 6 months to a year you move out or something. Don't burn the bridge with your uncle. Just be like, hey, like, make it of no one's fault while you're moving out. Just being like, hey, I really want to move out. I really want to try living alone by myself. I found this roommate situation. Like, I'm just gonna move out in a month. If you're not paying rent, I don't even really think you need to give them. You can give them like a month's heads up, but like, you know, just give them a heads up, communicate, do what the Commodore in this situation said. And just know that like this situation, although it's embarrassing, right? Because it's like you yelled at me in front of this like new girl that I'm dating, and like it just seems like emotionally exhausting to be in this space. Just know that it is temporary, and that like you're gonna be okay, and that life moves on, and that like you're gonna get like life's gonna get better. And so the last Reddit story for today's episode is titled, Today I fucked up by asking my girlfriend for clarification. Okay. This one has 11 comments, okay? So we should have some good dialogue, okay? As a girlfriend, no. I would like to say, was that clarification for the seventh time? Because if so, I'm on your girlfriend's side, okay? If this was the first time you asked for clarification, I'll let it go. But once we get to like 6 or 7, once we get to 4 or 5, we've gone too far, dog, okay? I've picked up Ham, so if you hear little like licks or something, that is my 5-pound chihuahua. He's 10 years old. He's an old man, and so he needs a lot of extra cuddles. So please bear with him. I think on like 2 episodes ago, Ham, no licky. On like 2 episodes ago, you guys could just hear his little like pitter patters of him running behind me the entire like first half of this like hour long episode. I apologize, but unfortunately, that is the caveat of having a dog, especially an old dog who is very, very needy. Okay. But today I fucked up by asking my girlfriend for clarification. I posted this somewhere else, but I also wanted to post it here also. Okay. My girlfriend, 28 female. Ugh, me, and I, 27 male, are fighting, and I actually think this fight is stupid. I usually work 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Around 4 p.m., we talk about food to go get her because she was spending the night. She told me she wasn't hungry, but I knew that would be a recipe for disaster. So everything she said she wanted. So eventually, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't read. It's also like 8 a.m. when I'm filming this, dog. Like I'm committed to this. But she told me she wasn't hungry, but I knew that that would be a recipe for disaster. So eventually she said she wanted chipotle, but then I asked her if she wanted In-N-Out burger. She responded that I can get that. Remember now, it's 4 and I'm not getting off until 7 p.m. Okay, so this is 4 p.m. when you have this conversation. You don't get off till 7:30, about almost 4 hours later. Uh, and then she drives to my house and she has to pass by an In-N-Out burger. So it was at this point I asked for clarification when you say, "Can I get that?" Do you mean A, can I get that as opposed to Chipotle, or B, can I get that food? She then says, "Never mind," about 3 times. I then tell her no. I hate when she does that. I hate when I ask for clarification of something and then get shut down. She says to me, "I hate when your mind doesn't move fast. It's common sense." Ex- Rude. I said, "Linda, I am simply asking for clarification." She asked what was so hard about what she said. She then added, "If it was so hard to go to In-N-Out, why did you ask?" I said, "It's not a problem. I just wanted to clarify something." We kept going back and forth and eventually hung up. I called her back 10 minutes later, where we kept going in the same circles. I told her that when she said it's common sense, it was disrespectful and an insult to my intelligence. I ended up yelling at her because what the fuck is the problem with asking for clarification? She hung up on me and I called back 5 times. She never responded, so I went on to have a really relaxing nap. The next morning, I called her before work where she broke up with me for yelling at her because She's tired she's tired of that She's tired of me reminding her that she was the one who insulted me for clarification. She told me when you asked for clarification, I took that to mean that you wanted me to go buy my own food and that you were mad. Anyways, at this point, she broke up with me, but she always comes back. But she told me to cut her off. I think I'm going to take her up on that and make her think about it. Okay. Wait. Okay. To be able to like functionally get through and retell this story. Okay. So in the middle of your workday, you guys had the plan that your girlfriend was going to come over. Okay. Um, Linda. I think he says her name is Linda. We're gonna name him Brandon. Brandon. Okay. Brandon works 11 to 7:30. Okay. In the middle of your workday, around or actually this isn't even the middle of your workday. This is like 75% through your workday. Around 4 p.m. You only got 2 to 3 hours left of your workday. Um, you are having the conversation with your girlfriend because she's planning on coming over to spend the night and you're trying to figure out what we want to eat for dinner. She says she's not hungry in that moment, but you know her better by saying, like, "You know what, but you're probably going to be hungry later on. Let's make a plan," right? In-N-Out burger. What was the other option? You said In-N-Out burger and then there was something else. Um, you gave options. You ended up settling on like In-N-Out burger. Oh, Chipotle. You settled on Chipotle, but then In-N-Out burger came into the picture, and now we're back kind of trying to figure out whether or not we want to get Chipotle or In-N-Out. Okay. You asked for clarification just because now we're talking about two different options, two totally different options, because Chipotle is one thing, Tex Mex, and In-N-Out is a burger. So we're like, okay, what do we actually really, really want? Okay. In this situation, you're trying to plan ahead. You've had a long day. You don't want to have to do anything after work, right? You're trying to get it, go home, and just stay home. And so then when you ask for clarification, her response, instead of just saying, In-N-Out's good, or I still want Chipotle, or you know what, I don't know what I want. We can figure it out after work. Her response is, "I don't understand why you can't think faster." I don't understand why you can't be smart enough to just know what to fucking pick. Like, how long, one, have you guys been dating? And two, I don't even think it really matters because that's just such a rude thing to say. That to me is so rude, and this is giving one of those situations where it's like, "Oh, these two people maybe just shouldn't be together." Like they just shouldn't be together. They don't seem like they work well because this is so minuscule. And I think when you start fighting about minuscule things like this, and like you're early on to in the relationship, you're not married, like maybe it's time to break up because there's just a huge communication issue. Like breaking up over what you want to eat for dinner that night is insane to me. Because like what are we talking about? Like this is it, like dinner for that one night is such a minuscule choice that you have to make in everyday life. How are you guys going to be able to handle the big life choices that you have to make later on in your relationship? And at 28 to 27, dog, that y'all are too old to be acting like this and to be fighting over something as minuscule as this. Like I have been in this type of relationship, but it was like early on in my 20s, like 19, 20 type thing, right? 21 maybe. And after the age of like 25, 26, and your frontal lobe develops, having arguments over small, petty, minuscule things like this is such a turn off. So it's so stupid because it's like this is just a communication issue. And if we literally can't, the fact that your first option was let's break up over this is a red flag. I mean, I hate to agree with a man, and I say that on this podcast all the time. I hate to agree with a man, but in this situation, I don't think OP, who is the man, fucked up. Okay. Like, y'all, you seem very like plan ahead, trying to figure this out. Like, you had an idea of how you wanted the night to go. And the last question that you needed answered was, what do you want to eat for dinner? And she made it as difficult as possible to answer what she wanted for dinner. And that to me is like that it just doesn't need to be this hard. I don't understand why she's being this hard. This gives me that there's something else in this relationship that's causing this like weird emotional like get like energy that she's giving you is so weird. Like if this was an argument that I had with my boyfriend, I would like if I was in OP situation and I had this argument with my girlfriend, I would one sit her down and be like, "Hey, are you good?" Like is every not are you good like cuz that's fighting words, but like, "Hey, what's going on? Is there like something deeper rooted in this situation that like we need to talk about because to me this seems ridiculous and it's not a fight that needed to have happened." Let alone a reason for us to break up. Like, is there a communication issue that we need to figure out? Because, and the thing about it too is that I don't even think that, like, in this situation, she's going to be receptive to even trying to fix it or trying to learn and like have compassion for the situation because she didn't have compassion in the situation when it was just as easy as an answer of like, okay, do you want do you actually final answer want chipotle um or what was the other one, chipotle or in and out, like that's it. It just seems like there's a huge communication issue that doesn't need to be. Like there's a lack of communication, there's a lack of empathy, there's a lack of compassion for the other person. And to be completely honest, I just think she's rude. Um, the top comment on this post says YouTube seem to have a huge communication issue. I think this is something you need to sit down and have a civilized conversation about rather than going in circles over the same things. Also, I think she's being quite unreasonable. It would be very easy to just, I don't know, give you the damn clarification and answer. Thank you. Literally exactly what I said. I think you just, like, this Reddit comment summed up everything that I just said. Another comment says, I don't see anything wrong with asking for clarification, and it's extremely disrespectful to tell your partner it's common sense. It also sounds like she's very quick to break up over small things because you said she always comes back. If she breaks up with you over a small communication about what to eat, then I'd say let her go. She needs to grow up 100%. Like, you're 28, you're a grown fucking adult at this point. Like, you need to grow up. You need to be able to regulate your emotions and regulate if it's frustration, if it's upset. But this, like, back and forth, tit for tat, that is like, that's some adolescence behavior. And at 28, like, although, yes, you are very young, there's a level of maturity that you should fucking have, dog. Can I go on a side tangent actually about this whole like maturity thing? As someone is who's dated in her later 20s, right? Um, I we have normalized this idea that like love equals endurance. Love equals like having to fight difficulty, that like the love isn't real if it wasn't hard. And that is just so untrue. Okay? I hope that everyone listens to this. You hear me out when I say this. Love does not need to be hard, and it shouldn't be hard in order for it to be valid. Okay? Like, you shouldn't be arguing every fucking day, every other day, every week about little minuscule things like this. We have normalized this like tit for tat, back and forth, this unhealthy like communication and like coping style with inside of relationships that mean that like a relationship is valid, it's fought for, it's worth more if we have these fights and we have these arguments because we fought through it. It makes it seem as if like fighting through relationships and fighting through like these little things that are really easily fixable and having a hard life is like romanticized, and it's a goal and it's a marker of worth. And that is just not true. And I cannot stress that enough. Like, I have literally like broken up with guys because they like, as someone, I am a black woman, okay? I have dated outside my race a multitude of times, okay? I've dated inside my race. And let me tell you, it does not matter. Men, for some reason, will they expect me as a black woman to be whatever like stereotype that they see in media, right? And so I can just about tell what they're expecting me to be based on like the type of music that they listen to, the type of people that they follow. If I go into a man's following and he's following Krishan Rock, we're not doing it. We're not doing it, okay? Look, you can say whatever you want about Krishan Rock. She's a great reality TV star. I love watching her shit. It's a dumpster fire waiting to happen, dog. But what I will say is that if that's what you expect from me, you expect me to be fighting with you, to be arguing with you, that our love, and I say love in like quotations, is going to be hard. You're talking to the wrong person, okay? Like, I want love that's just so soft, so caring, so easy. We are individual people. We don't control each other. We trust each other. Our entire relationship is built off of being friends and having respect for each other and having like a moral foreground and a moral obligation to be good people in this world, whether it is to me, to you, to the random person that we meet on the street. And when men are like doing that like bait and switch, I think there's some steps and there's some like red flags that go up early on in relationships that I feel like people don't see. But when men are doing that like bait and switch to figure out whether or not like you are going to be that person, you're going to be an argument, you're going to fight, you're going to be like this like toxic idea of love. When you see that, you need to fucking leave, dog. Because one thing about me is that I will never be able to be in a toxic relationship. Okay? Because if you go low, baby, what did who said that? Was it Cardi B who said you go low, I go to hell, bitch? That's me, okay? And I don't like the person that I become when I gotta go that far, when I gotta go to hell, okay? Look, look, I don't like that person that I have to become. And so I don't put myself in situations to have to be that person because that person is unreasonable. That person is there to hurt you and to be a bad person. And I will never, and I never, ever, 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 ever will ever put myself into a relationship where I have to be or I have to step outside my character. And that is something that I will take with me in every facet of life where it's like, if anything, whether it is a relationship, a friendship, a job, a situation, has to take you out of your character as a person, as a being, it is not for you. And I cannot stress that enough. You have to know who you are as a person. You have to know what are your character values, what are your moral values, how do you want to be as a individual, as a being in this world, and you have to stick to it, and you have to leave situations, people, places, and things that take you out of that character and out of that person. Um and so, like, at 28, the fact that, like, I feel like if y'all are fighting over something as simple as, like, oh, what are we eating for dinner? And it's leading to we break up and then we get back together. We break up and we get back together. Like, she needs to mature in this situation. Y'all probably both need to mature because, you got into this relationship and didn't see like these red flags. And I wholeheartedly believe that, like, whatever the big red flag is that is the breakup, ends up it presented itself earlier on in the relationship and you ignored it because you had rose colored glasses on. Um, which is why I'm like so analytical and so present when I am like beginning to date somebody. Because how they are at the beginning, people don't usually change moral and characteristic like base levels of their being, of their person. Um, and so you have to pay attention to those things. And so I do think that at this point, this whole like she always comes back situation, this tit for tat fighting over small, minuscule things means that it's time for y'all to separate, to go to therapy, to grow, to learn, to get smarter, to mature, figure out what's wrong, genuinely change, and then go find the correct person, right? Because I don't think that this is like the correct person. Um, but another response um, to this post is the questions here seem to be how long have you two been together? Would that situation be cuter, funny thing to laugh at some time ago, and has become one of the many reasons to be hung up on another. Every healthy couple has issues, but do both of you still keen to work slash think it is working on them together? OP then responded, they've been together for over a year and a half. He says, I try to be healthy, but she likes starting shit with me. In my opinion, there's no reason to be mad over clarification. I want to work things out always. Oh my gosh. And then the commenter responded, as it takes two to tango. You seem confident about her bad attitude. What's wrong? What wrongs have you noticed concerning yours anyways, or you're a diamond? Should she really make an effort to realize so? People are a little bit grammatically incorrect in Reddit, which I've realized, and I just haven't been able to like live correct their grammatical errors. Um but essentially, they said, like, it takes two to tango. Like, you're confident about her bad attitude. Is there anything that's concerning about you, OP? Or are you just perfect and, like, needs to make the effort to realize so? OP then responded, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I don't start fights if you're starting a fight based on something this small. I'm not the issue. Correct. Hate to agree with the man, but I agree with the man in this situation. The commenter replied with, as said, it always takes two. Are the both of you willing slash ready to work things out? And maybe sometimes it's nobody's fault, but just life. OP then says, I am always willing to. The commenter says, willing to. Improve your ways. OP says, I'm always willing to self improve. Um, and to be completely honest, I do think that this comment was almost, I think this comment, I think they were trying to bait the fact that, like, OP in this situation was trying to paint himself as being like this like perfect little person, and I just don't think that that's the situation. I do think that that is, like I said at the beginning of the episode, something that we do run into a lot, especially on Reddit. Is are people who are delusional and that don't see that, like, oh, they also play a part in the issue, and that it's not just their partner's fault or the other person in the story's fault, that they're also at fault, but they don't see their fault. But I don't think in this situation that is the issue. Like, it is as simple as they were trying to figure out what to have for dinner. He asked for clarification because other options came up. The girlfriend, OP's girlfriend, is rude and immature. And I think at the end of the day, it is just time for OP to separate from this girl. Hate to agree with the man, but in this situation, if not, like, it's going you're gonna have to essentially wait for your girlfriend to realize that what she did was rude and wrong, and she's going to have to want to change. But if she doesn't see the whole like common sense of like, why can't you think faster, as being rude, you're not going to get anywhere. She has to see the problem first to be able to fix it, because if you tell her that, like, hey, this is a problem, you got to fix it, people are going to want to do the opposite of, what you tell them. So to me, this isn't a relationship that I think is worth having for OP. I do think it's time for OP to separate. You're 27, you're young, and go find someone who's on the same maturity level. Like, leave people that want to do this bait and switch breakup, who romanticize getting back together. We fought 17,000 times and we always ended up back together. Like, leave that be. You don't need love that has to hurt, that has to be difficult. Like, it's a trope that we have normalized in our society that I don't think, not just that I don't think, every therapist everywhere will tell you it's not. But with that being said, that is the end of this week's episode. Guys, it was a doozy. We love the Reddit thread of Today I Fucked Up, because we get, a good array of like stories and people and situations that are completely unrelated to each other. However, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. I want to eventually work on building my physical podcast space, so then I can do more like video podcasts and actually be on camera. But right now, with the fact that, I started a new job, and, I'm really like, settling into things, it's been a little difficult with like sleep schedules and timings and stuff. And so, filming audio podcasts just tend to work a little bit better for me in this moment. But rest assured, eventually videos will come back on the YouTube channel. Uh, but thank you guys so much for being here, for listening. Welcome to all the new people on YouTube that have been subscribing recently. You are very, very, very appreciated, and you are seen. Um, have a good rest of your guys' day, your week, and I will see you guys next Monday. Bye.